welcome back again to the Beautiful Brains. This is Catherine Manaina and I'm with my husband John Mwangi. And it is April, which is Autism Awareness Month. So this April we'll continue to create awareness, we'll continue to embrace autism, and we'll continue to ensure our kids are living their lives limitlessly. So since it's Autism Awareness Month, I am joined by a special guest who I'll let her introduce herself. Welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself?
My name is Joyce. Yeah, I'm a specialist teacher. Yeah.
That's very good. So, Joyce, so how did you get to be a specialist teacher?
It didn't happen within a fortnight because teaching was never part of my profession from the word go. I knew I was supposed to be something else apart from a teacher in all odds. But I was given a chance to go train as a teacher and I refused to go to teaching. So I knew teaching is not part of me at all. So after some time of staying at home and finding myself doing nothing, I entered in the world of hustling and looking for life. And at some point in life, I happened to be a house girl. I worked as a house girl for some time, like 10 years. Then from there, I decided to go train as a hospitality industry because I knew I was supposed to serve people, to just sit, I do everything for you. I finished my course and then I happened to get a job in a school as a cook. Then through that, I found myself landing in a school setting now. Somehow I started developing interest in children. And then I joined a college where I trained as an ECD teacher. Then in the ECD field, I worked in a school, in another school. Then somehow a parent requested me to be a homeschooling to her son. So when I went to that house to homeschool that boy, that's when I realized this boy was not like any other child. This boy was like doing things differently. I would not understand. He was 3 years old. He was still on campus. He would not use the toilet nicely like the other children. And he was closing his ears and running up and down the house. And I would not understand what's wrong with this boy. Yeah. And with the other learners in that class, he would always be alone in the corner. When the others are playing this side, he would always want to be alone. You give him a high five, he does this. You give him a cup, he wants to put it upside down and everything. So I didn't understand anything about specialists by then. So I thought the boy had a problem, a medical problem. So we talked with the mother, and the mother took him to the hospital, especially when he was closing the ears. So we thought he had some infection, something with the ears. Yeah. So the mother took the boy to hospital, and it took her like 3 months to get actually that the boy is okay, the ears are so fine, there's no any problem. So he continued for another 1 term, and so she had to go for several like assessments to be ruled out that the boy was autistic.
By this time, you are also educating the child.
I am her class teacher.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm not even understanding why this boy is behaving like this. But before that, in my previous school, I had come across a boy who was really misbehaving, just that bad behaved boy in class. And so I would not understand why. I just knew this boy was just a bad boy. But after being firm on the boy, I realized he adjusted. Yeah. And we agreed that we'd be doing these bad behaviors at home, not in school. And we had a good time together until I left the school. So with this boy that I had in this homeschooling setting, this lady, the mother had to go find a school where they can take care of the boy. He was now around 4 years. So I remained with other children and I moved now to Nairobi because I was in Educator. I moved to Nairobi now. So the next job I got, it was now in a pure special needs school where there were almost 300 learners with disabilities. And that was strictly mental, not physical, it was just mental. That's when I got to understand. I was now deep in the sea. I didn't understand how this was going to happen. My first day in that job, I was just crying. I cried because I would not understand how this big boy and girl is behaving like this. What happened that they got here? And then as I continued being there, I continued learning with these children and I enjoyed being with them so much. With that passion of wanting to do things for children, for people, I think it was now being fulfilled because now I was there to help them. Training a big girl to put on a pad, training a big boy to use the toilet. And I enjoyed it so much that taking a 14-year-old to the toilet and training how to use the tissue to work himself in the toilet. And it became part and parcel of my life.
So you say you are not educated to handle special needs kids. You learned on the job.
On the job. The day I was given that job, that very day I went for the interview, I was told you're coming for the job tomorrow. and it's a special school. I want to admit myself in a special school, KISE, Kenya Institute of Special Education. I went there that very day. After the interview, I went through KISE to register, then I went to my house. Then tomorrow I went to work. So the admission was coming in August, and I was reporting, that was in January. So I had to wait until August to join college, but I'm already working. That's how it's so amazing.
Yeah. And I like the passion because for normal people, if you are trained to be a teacher and you jump into a school with 300 special needs children, you feel like running away.
Yes.
Why didn't you?
At first, it was so. At first, my worry was, what am I going to do with these children? What happened?
That is what I was thinking of.
What happened? How do I stay with them? Because they are all up and about. And the worst thing was, I was put in a class of severe autism learners, and they were at high school level, from 14 years to 18. So they were big boys and girls, and non-verbal, all of them. I'm the only one talking in class. You are a stranger to them, so they are all come with their behaviors and everything because they want to test how far you can get to.
Yeah.
But we continue to stay with them. There's one who was talking, Joy. She's the only one I used to talk to. But the others are all quiet and big. But with the time, I just learned them and I adjusted. They also go to understand because, as I had shared previously, they had some Down syndrome boys in class who really misbehaved. They would pour everything on the floor and would pick it. They would pour and pick it. So the last time when I said, you have to pick it by yourself, so I had to make them do it. Then I said, oh, so it's possible. So they can do it. They can follow instructions, they can listen. So being firm can help me. I can use it as a tool. That's what really helped me. They go to a place where I would just call their name. And wherever they are, they would come running. Wow. Because they knew teacher is calling. They knew my voice. There's a boy, Patrick. I went for maternity holiday. I came back and they told me this boy, he never used to come to school as long as I'm not there. Yes, he would just stay at home until. So I went twice consecutive. When I came back, the next one, in fact, I had just gone to drop my paper that I'm going on leave tomorrow. So when I got to school, it was around 10. I got the whole school on standstill. Patrick was fighting, and the whole office was out. So I said, come, your son is finishing, must come. So I just went, Pato. He was like, oh, teacher, you have come. Oh, means that so I had him cast tears, cried. We went and sat, what happened? He was trying to explain to me what happened. And he calmed down. And the day was good. And my kid tomorrow will not come. So he never came to school again, unfortunately.
And I'm listening to your story and getting to understand the dynamics between a parent handling children with autism or special needs and an educator. And for you, I'm finding a certain kind of naturality. You connect with them from like a divine intervention or something. How do you explain the way you connect with them?
Personally, one thing I know is I have a lot of patience. I think it developed the time I was working as a house girl with the different types of people.
Yeah.
I developed a lot of patience and a lot of love. I just love these children.
Yeah.
Do you know, even if they are drooling, me, I can just hug them and I feel nothing. Even if he has a lot of mucus, I don't feel anything.
Yeah.
Because I remember there's a school I've been working with previously. I had boys that I would feed. So I would be feeding, I'm eating and I'm feeding. Then I would find myself having a spoon to eat. And I was like, it's okay. Let's just continue eating.
There are special people in this world and you're one of them.
So you find, he had his spoon and I'm feeding him and I pushed his spoon to eat and he's drooling. So it's okay, let's continue eating. Because I came to a place of taking them like my own children. I always put on that parent's shoe because I know I'm a candidate. When I gave back to my son, he developed severe meningitis. And I stayed in hospital for over 2 months with him. So if he came out without any disability, who am I? With meningitis, how would I have come out without that child with disability? I stayed in hospital. When I always remember that, I know I was a candidate. That by the mercy of God, he never developed anything. So I put on that shoe as that parent. What if I'm there? Anything can happen to me today or my son. What am I supposed to do? So I take every child as my own child. Me don't feel bad changing pampers for a 15-year-old. I don't feel it. What if it's my own child? So
and Joyce, you're saying very important things because I can tell you one of the things we have experienced and had other parents experience is the blame game that it goes on when you have a child with autism or special needs. people do not like associating themselves with mental health, with disabilities, with disorders, and you'll find a lot of parents, some even run away and leave one to handle the kids.
Yes.
But hearing it from you on the side of an educator who is taking these kids with love, compassion, just like they are your own, I think that is very, very interesting. And for me, those are the things that I call calling.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it is impacted with you by divine nature. This is Joyce, and Joyce was placed here to be the angels to these kids. You do a lot of good work.
Okay.
Now, before we jump into deeper things, tell us, what does the world of an educator look like when you're handling kids with special needs, autism, ADHD?
Hey, an educator's world is a very tricky one. Being that you are handling both the learner and the parent. So, a parent who is still maybe walking the journey of accepting this child, and the child is already in the field, who is already in the world of autism or disability. So it's a very tricky life, and remarking you have your own issues also you're still dealing with.
Yeah.
So by the time you put aside your own issues and now come to the world of this boy or this girl, it's a big challenge. I used to tell my workmates, when you come, hang your problems on the gate. Let them wait for you there.
Yeah.
Let's venture this one here. When we go back, we pick them from the gate as we go home. We'll be handing them
That's
as
a
we
good
go.
strategy.
Because if you come with your issues here
Yeah.
and you're having this special child,
Yeah.
you will not deliver, you will hurt even the child. I know there's a lady we used to work with. She was my assistant Esther. I would tell her anytime we go to change Steve, he was an 8-year-old with cerebral palsy on campus, and he was overweight. The bone was 68 kilograms at 7 years. So I would tell Esther, if you feel like you're feeling anything when you change, please don't do it. Just let me do it. Don't do it.
You want total love.
Yes. Yeah. And you're singing cheerfully, and you're so happy, and the boy is enjoying what you're doing. You don't go do it with anything in your heart. If you feel that, just go and check, and I'll do it cheerfully. Because I remember our boss would hire so many teachers, and teacher would come and she would just go check the boy. That was the first interview I would give every teacher. She would come and we see somebody vomiting behind there. And what's happening? Somebody, and you see a teacher not eating for a whole day just because she saw you changing. But me, I would finish changing them and come and we eat. And I don't feel anything. Because what if it was my own child? That's what carries me.
Wow.
So you're basically walking in the shoes of the parents.
Yes, I'm putting on the shoes of the parents and doing it. What I do to the student, I always tell the parents, if I have to reprimand him, I'll do it even before you. The same way I can do to my own son. If you find me reprimand, that's what I can do to my own child.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm doing it as a worker, I'm doing it as my own child.
Wow, that is so beautiful.
Very,
Yeah,
very,
you can
very.
really feel the passion.
So in the same world of an educator, and I know there are sometimes things work very well for you. Walk us through some of the things, intervention strategies you have used to handle, educate, teach, help them be independent, and they have worked so well with these kids.
I can begin with when I joined the history school. I found those boys in class, and having the knowledge of hotel and catering, because they were big enough to do house. That's when we introduced pre-vocational.
Yeah.
And I started teaching them how to cook. The best part was when that people would enter the kitchen and switch on the gas safely and make a cup of tea.
The little thing.
That to me was cause for celebration. He has done it. Just safely, I would just sit and he would come in the kitchen. It's your duty to make a cup of tea.
Wow.
And he would get in the kitchen. And that one would just come. You are going to apply blueberry bread for us, and we will do it. Non-verbal learner, a very hyper and up and about son, a boy, he can now settle down and apply blueberry bread and serve it to the others. It was the best part. We moved into another, they will now cook food, they will cook rice and beef stew. This autistic learners, that was the best part of my life. Another part of my life, this boy I'm talking about, he was overweight. The boy was 7 years, 68 kilograms. I gave it a phone and said to take him for a walk. I would walk every day with the boy until the whole locality knew me. They thought it was my son because I used to do it every single day. Until by the time I was leaving the school, the boy was 58 kilograms.
Wow. Transformation.
I lost weight personally.
I was going to ask you that question.
I lost my weight completely. Because we're doing it, I go to the mother, please, let me do it. And when schools would close, I would feel so bad because I would, please, and now we're going to gain again. Yes. But I left when he was 48. Those are the best things that I can call. I did the really cheer. With some, even with me, I don't even look at the student to get a lot. As little as just being able to feed him, because this boy would not even feed himself. By the time we were creating, I even had videos of him feeding himself. We would just eat together and sit. And I had him talking about sitting with the children. Yeah. It's very good. Me, my learners, they sit around the table, all of us.
Wow.
We eat together. This I'm feeding these two, and those who can feed themselves are there. These ones, I mean, they have a problem with their hands, they can't feed, so I can feed for them.
Yeah.
So I sit in between them, but the others are sitting around the table, so we eat together. Yeah. We're doing what they're doing, but we are doing what we're eating, as I just prompting each other. We just eat, reminding them every now and then. So we sit together. So this boy is still, I always tell God, when I get to heaven, I want to be what it is.
And you are saying very, very important things. I liked when you said little transformation, small changes.
Yeah. Very little.
Because I can tell you, as parents, we get very frustrated and we want radical changes.
Yes.
If I bring someone to handle my voice, I want when I walk in tomorrow and the person tells me, you know what, you're going is doing ABCD. But most of the times, we are actually frustrated. So it's very good listening to an educator that for you, you don't focus on the big changes. Small.
So we celebrate just the little progress.
Yes, celebrate everything. I even tell parents, the ones I'm working with, there's one who called me yesterday. She has a hearing impaired learner. She got some hearing aids so the girl can use. So she called me so happy because she knows I'm only 30 minutes old. I have told him, Mercy, need a tissue. The tissue iko happy? Mom, iko hapo. So she called just to tell me, Mom, Mercy has given me tissue iko happy. I was so happy. Those small things. Yeah. You know, if he's not able to do that, the boy I'm working with, he's done, we have been with him for 1 year now. Now he can do his bed. That began very far, that he could not even do this spread.
Yes.
He can do his bed, he can brush his teeth, that no brush would enter his mouth. Never. But now he can take a brush and brush by himself. And you know, parents now, at some point when they're so serving these children, and we tend to do like everything for them until they're not given room to show us, to showcase what they're able to do.
Yeah.
So this boy is the one who had really been served, like have class, and everyone is here to do everything for him. But I told him just let him. He can go to the kitchen and get food and come to the table and eat. It was never there. So we look at very small things, every little progress.
So the work of an educator, you don't teach them the curriculum. You teach them activities of daily living. You teach them how to be actually a human being.
Yes.
And good. I liked your story because if I can go back to when you were maybe training to be an educator, maybe the focus was much about handling the kids in the curriculum. But now on the field, you have transformed yourself to be a holistic educator. And I have liked the aspect that even a child who is probably overweight, you go over and above and you try to do the exercises. And myself, I'm seeing you now as a part of a therapist. Can you tell us the story about being a holistic educator?
Okay, handling a specialist child, you handle every child individually. And you lay the priorities of that child individually. Yeah. Like when you are formulating your IEP, you have long-term objectives and short-term objectives. Yeah. So you give yourself like, in this term, on these 3 months, what am I supposed to achieve with this child? Or depending on the age of the learner, what do they need for now? Because I can emphasize on writing and reading to a child who is 12 years. It is going through the system of education up to 12 years, not even able to achieve it. And you're saying the education-wise, he's not really into that. So you identify an area that can be profitable to this child much more than even education. Wow. So like the overweight child, it is, as long as he was overweight, he would not do anything. He would not even settle down. He would just come by 7 and he's asleep. And he would sleep up to 3. If you don't wake up to eat and go back to bed. So the time he lost weight, he would now move to another level. He was able to play with the others. He would be able to do some coloring because now the weight has gone. He's now sober. So you identify the area that what is important for this child as at now. What does he need much more than the other? Yes, he needs education, yes. But what does he need even much more? That's why I knew if you lost weight, you will open door to so many other things, even learning activities will be even a bit easier. Like a child who is in class and you realize you've trained education was not working, you identify an area where they can benefit much more. You look at the area of beneficial to every child individually, not as a group. Yeah.
So it's more personalized
education. Yes, that's what I do. You identify a learner and you venture in one area. You'd come in class, and my class I had 10, like the previous school I had 10 learners in my class. So every child is doing their own thing. We can even come in the morning and there's one who is just doing weaving, and that's the area, and that's okay. I have no problem with that. And there's one who is just doing, we identify an area. Christomana taught me this. Because in Christian, because we're handling big boys and girls, when they would come from tender age, you identify an area of specialization. And it's a system of education called ASDAN. That's what they were doing. ASDAN has so many modules and areas where a learner is assessed on doing, so that a learner is able to do this by doing. So you identify there's a boy who play football, they're in the field playing, that's the area. There's another who is good in swimming, they're going for swimming, and that is it. We don't really have to force them to be in one group. They can never fit in one group. So we identify an area for every learner and build everything there. That's where my diversity came in, handling a learner individual. What are they going to benefit us at now? We venture in that. After we achieve, we move to something else.
Wow, that's interesting. And I'm wondering, do we have these facilities in the public education system?
For once, it's not the public system of Kenya is accepting special needs. It's not been there at all. So we are still at the baby steps, very, very far from the reality.
But there is progress.
The first progress is at least it's been a policy now in the government that every school should accept a special needs child.
Wow.
Because they would never be accepted anywhere. They would be taken to special schools. So when there was this argument that these children are being taken to special schools, we are talking about the hearing impaired, the vision impaired, and the physical impaired, not mental. Mental power, they don't exist.
So we have a one institution for all.
One institution one that has vision impaired, one that has physical impairment, one that has hearing impairment. So they would go there and they study and they finish their classes up to Form 4. They go through it. Those ones they can learn and any other learn. But the problem came in this student. Now we're talking about the visually impaired and physical, not the mental. Mental were nowhere in the system. Yeah. So they would come back to the society. This child has come from a hearing impaired school.
Yeah.
He comes back home. He's using signs. No one in the whole village knows sign. So he would come. He cannot talk. Not because he's not able to talk, but
he express himself.
Yeah, he can not completely no. So that's why the government said, now we should allow them to be in an average school where they can learn to mingle with other people. Unless we are planning to create a special world for them. They came from special school, they go to a special church, a special society where they just be alone. But as long as they're still part of us, we have to learn to mingle with them. That's why that policy was just put in place. But eventually, there's no infrastructure in schools for all those things. Because if we have a visually impaired child in school, there has to be a sign interpreter in the school. Have the government given out the special interpreters in schools? No. If you have a visually impaired child in school, there has to be a braille and the braille teacher in school who can read that. Have it been given? No. So the policy is in place, but infrastructure is not put in place.
Yeah, so we are still in
now we come to
setting up the infrastructure.
To mental handicaps. Now we are now making the first steps. These children, they have been created like units in a school. The public school, most of them have special units. But that unit has only maybe one teacher. And this teacher has 75 learners.
It's not possible.
And because this parent just needs where this boy can go, this 17-year-old, and this one is 4-year, they are all under the same roof by one teacher.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's shocking.
Because at least there's somewhere they can be accepted. In fact, come to that job because somebody can say, let them come here. Because you're supposed to find your own way out there. But if the school is a public school, they can go there and there's somebody who can maybe 1 or 2 teachers who are specialist teachers trained. But now all the children are allowed in, because the public, every child has to come. They all come. So the teacher just has to babysit, just to sit with them, and then they go back home. And by the time they come back home, they have learned from so many other behaviors, bad behaviors, and what they had when they left home.
So they're not
benefiting.
They do acquire actually a lot of behaviors. They learn very fast.
Very fast, and the good ones. They happen to learn, they come back home worse than they came to school. But at least you had time to go to work, as they were somewhere sitting.
Yes, I'm tempted to ask you a question. There have been an argument around, especially the first words, on how you describe special needs children, because special needs is very diverse. And for example, I would take the autism, ADHD, selective mutism, that kind of. A lot of people have been using the term, these are mental health disorders, Others, they'll say these are disabled kids. Others, they have come up with a very interesting term, and they are calling them, children with different personalities. And of course, now in the world of work, we refer to them as neurodiverse people. From your position as an educator, which one do you think best describes them?
I think it's neurodiverse.
Neurodiverse. I also agree with you, because most of the times when we talk about mental health disorders, people talk about depression, anxiety, and when you look at these kids, when you look at these kids, sometimes even you yourself will struggle describing them as kids with mental health challenges. When you talk about disorders, people think of something, very interesting, like, those feeding problems, I also like the term different personality, because it's like the way myself I will sit here calmly and listen and do things. Kids with ADHD, they have a lot of energy, and that is their personality. They will do things, they will not get tired easily like I would. If you now misinterpret this personality and say probably these are disabled, they have a disorder, you're not likely to give them the right support. So I like the new progress about neurodiverse, because even in companies they are putting in structures that these people can be able to work in a normal company just like the others. On your part now, I like the way you are saying that in the education system, at least the government, we have started somewhere acceptance. We can take these kids in, and I think the right now next step is about infrastructure. How do we make public schools right for children with special needs, with autism, ADHD, selective mutism? And probably that question I leave it to you, are the educator. Maybe you can have a few pointers.
The first thing that needs to be done, I always look, when I went to be admitted in KISE, my admission number was around almost 900 something. People have gone through KISE. And I looked at it, I was number 928 on admission, which means I was the first student to be admitted in KISE. And I'm looking at it and I was thinking, where are all these teachers? What are they doing? Because I thought, if these are million teachers, because now it was in 2017, if 2016, if these teachers were, they are all basically, we are almost a million in 2016. Now we are above a million teachers who have been trained in special needs in Kenya. I can't feel the impact. I don't know how it can come to it, because when they say people go train for special needs, there was an increment in salary with the government. If you go train special needs, we have added your salary. So everybody went there because of the money. But somebody just earning, they're not working. And I wish we had the heart, the passion for these children. If we can all put our hands on helping these children, I think it can be felt. Two, we want a voice for the neurodiverse learners. Because if you go to parliament, and this parliament, they have these children, very many I can mention, so many I know, these people in cabins, they have these children. But surprisingly, they even don't understand. They don't know what to do with these children. They don't understand what's happening to each child. They're still living in the midst and all those things. It's trying to put together what really happened. So the thing is, we need to have a voice for a representation for the neurodiverse people. Someone who can explain how these children live and explain how they can find help. Because if you tell, like a school has a unit, a special needs unit, and you are a special needs, you go there.
Yeah.
So you go there and sit in that class, and you're given all the learners. One, we don't have manpower. Two, human resources not available. Two, we are not given the resources that we need to work with children. Three, you only there as a teacher, and this child needs more than a teacher. Don't you speak with a speech therapist? Some need physiotherapy, some need occupational therapy, and some other help. That's another shortcoming. Another thing, awareness. People don't know about specialists, like neurodiversity in the society. No one knows. The school itself, you are here as a specialist teacher, you only know about education for specialist person. But the entire school does not know anything. So when this child just behaves, take her to teacher so and so, and you brought this boy and you're wondering now. So if the society can accept these children, because there's a child who could be having like a neurodiverse child, but this child can fit in an average class, where they can learn with other children and even develop and become better. I really long for that, where they can come in school and somebody does an assessment and fixes them to an average class and work with the teacher. That's what I advocate for. This specialist teacher, this child is placed in the class. This teacher will follow up with the class teacher. He needs to be done with this. She don't learn like the others. They are doing 3-letter words. He's doing coloring, sound up, and it's okay. But as long as he's learning from the other learners, he's better off there than the special unit. So if there's that like working together, where the specialist teacher and the special unit and the average class teacher are working together to help this child, other than just dumping all of them there until we end up losing so many. There's a case I'm handling of a child who's in a public school. The mother had the same church with the mom, so she called me. She wanted a teacher for tuition. But this boy, we have a group for special needs in church, and there are so many. This boy is 10 years, and he would say a memory verse, and he was living with autism, and I was like, "But how can do this?" So I was like, he can read. He's in grade 4. So she asked me for a teacher during this holiday. So I sent my friend there. So she went and she called me, and she was like, "That boy is super. He only needs a little help." Because in that class, that teacher is there lecturing. You know, grade 4, you have a science teacher and mathematics. They are different teachers. And for a special needs child, by the time he settles down, now maths has just entered. Now this is English. And after English, you have a science teacher, a different man. Another lady comes in for music. You know, for him, that is a bit much.
Even the sensory.
Yes. Yeah. So he only needs somebody to come and help him. So let's just say he's like half 50% behind all the other learners. In every unit, he's writing half page. Everything is half. Like he was still writing, and then another teacher comes and then he stops them. So he has so many halves. So if that teacher would know, he would have given this boy a little more time. And he would have caught up with others. Because he can write notes half. That means that boy is so good, isn't it? What if he was helped? But the school does not have that room. In fact, the mother said she really worked so hard for the boy to go to an average class because he was supposed to be in the unit. A boy who can write notes a half a page to be in the unit, will he benefit?
And also understanding that these kids do not learn like the others. In fact, probably forcing them to take notes. You are actually digressing them. I was listening to another child, and this kid just basically need you to tell them the numbers you want them to work out. They don't have to write. They tell you, give me a moment. And they produce an answer. So the teachers understanding that these kids, they need to learn in their individual way. It's also something I think is lucky. They are forced to learn just like the others, the way they learn. A teacher knows, I teach mathematics in this way. This is how the order of my formula. These kids, they work things in their own ways. They can come and reorder your formula, but it will generate the same answer. The thing is, let them explore their world.
Their own way.
Their own way.
You know, confining them to forcing them to live our lives. I feel it's forcing them. Trying to change them to become us, which is not fair to them. It's like trying to change me to be them, which is not possible. We always drag them into being us, especially education-wise. If they can't fit in our shoe, then they have to be in the unit where they are.
And I like that. I always have a very silly argument. My wife laughs about it. You see ADHD kids, I love them. Their energy excites me. These kids do not get tired.
Yes.
Fatigue in their world is unknown.
Yes.
I always ask them, as normals, we actually get fatigued. Walk around here when it is so sunny. 1 hour, you are even looking for a drink. This kid is like, what's wrong with you? So I always tell my wife, maybe in the world of medicine, there is something in these kids that if we get it, we will not be fatigued. But we don't know. We actually look at them as people with a disorder. Maybe it is also having a disorder.
Maybe they're the normal ones.
They're the normal, yes.
Yes. Our brains do not work as fast as them.
Yes.
You know, I have met a lot of kids on the spectrum, and the way they work puzzles, chess,
Just
numbers,
amazing.
you just stay there and look at them and you wonder, is this the kids we see they are abnormal?
I know, like Jaden, he just started doing multiplication. And I was asking Dad, did you teach him? Dad is like, no, I didn't teach him. So I'm like, who taught you how to do multiplication?
5 times 3.
Yeah.
And he'll be walking around the house. 2 by 2 is 4. 4 by 4. And I'm like,
How
who
did you
taught
know
you?
that?
You know.
Yeah. And something else about him, I don't know if you have experienced it in your world. We don't have to ask this kid how the day was in the school. He just sit there and he started playing the whole conversations.
Echoing.
Yeah.
Like,
It's immediate and delayed economy.
yeah.
So you'll download everything.
He download everything.
Even the laughing.
A conversation.
Everything.
I'm always like, Mommy, it's time for us to listen.
And he'll tell you everyone who told him off the names, everything that the teacher said, you know.
They have a very sharp memory.
They do.
Very.
He remembers
They'll
everything.
never lie.
They don't.
They don't know how to lie. They don't. Yeah, there's that echolalia in manners, and that means this is a child who is functioning okay.
Yeah.
He's very much okay. So the echo what they have had, this immediate echolalia where you say hi and they say hi. You say how are you, they say how are you. Yes. And there's this one where they just keep quiet and they'll download everything. I know that I had a boy in school in Castro. He would go home and tell the mother that you see and say, stop.
Oh, yeah.
And I had never taught him.
Yeah.
He was in the lower classes, I was in high. I think he had me telling somebody stop.
Yeah.
So he would go home and say, teacher, so he's going to say stop. He's echoing what I said in school. So the mother said, who is did you see in this school? I don't know. Your mind said, what is it? Are you the one who's saying stop? Because like when he was downloading what was happening during the day, during break time, or maybe he had me just saying stop, or maybe he would hear me saying stop so many times.
Yeah.
So he would just say stop. So that's Joyce, the right pronunciation. Okay, thank you. So there's that echo in them.
Yeah.
But when you're working on speech with them, you're working on speech. That echo, when they say they like that delayed echo, echolalia, you work on it and it comes to immediate.
Wow.
That repeating. And then after that, when they're doing immediate, you say hi. They're saying hi. You say how are you? When they're saying how are you, you say I am fine. You say how are you? When they're saying how are you, you say I'm fine. So they get that one. With time, they come to say how are you? I'm fine. I'm fine. You say how are you? They say I am fine. Now working on speech now. How are you? When it's about to say how are you, you say I'm fine. You answer yourself. With time, they're saying, oh, I'm not supposed to say how are you. I'm supposed to say.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Jaden does that. He'll download the whole day, then he'll come and actually mention names. Matt said, this one said, everything to the T. It's just so easy.
Yeah, we actually sit down and listen to the whole
Just
conversation.
listen. You just
And he gets with the
Do you know it can go even 30 minutes?
Yeah.
30 minutes.
Yeah.
Even lunch break, you know, teacher said, sit down, eat your food. Like he'll sit.
And not just what happened in the school. There's a game he plays, and there are other participants in the game, and there are some actions that they are doing. They'll come here and describe whoever entered in this room, what did he do, and Jaden did this, they followed this. Like, it's like a whole movie.
He narrates it.
He narrates everything.
Like, we were just sitting down and we were like, wow, how does this boy think? How does he remember?
Yeah.
He doesn't miss anything.
Now let me tell you, when he does something and mommy says, I will reward you with something when we go to the supermarket, it doesn't matter which year from today you go to that supermarket.
Remember.
He will remember.
Mommy, you say, I just can't get myself out of it. I have to get it.
And you'd be like, when did I say this?
Yeah.
You
And
won't
he
remember.
will tell you. He can even tell you what you were wearing. He's very good also with remembering remembering the colors.
Beautifully.
Yeah,
That's
blue
big.
bus picked me. Mommy was wearing this. Justin was wearing. I don't know.
He
how
described
does
the
it.
whole moment.
Everything perfectly. And the first time I used to get really scared. I was like, oh, what is this? You know. But then
And now what happens, we identify that area and find how can we use it
Yeah.
in this benefit.
Yeah.
How can we use that area that is super at? And because there are children that here you can see on social media a 3-year-old saying all the countries of Africa and Africa. In West Africa, how many countries are there? And a 3 would say West Africa, Nigeria, and Ghana. And how did he know all that?
They even mentioned their president.
Even the counties of Kenya, me, I do not know.
Yeah.
County number 35, county number 1,
Yeah,
and the governor, you see the governor for county, you're like, how this?
They are gifted.
Yeah, there's a gift in them. Yeah, so we just find a way of identifying that gift and making it profitable to him. Yeah, it's going to wasted.
Just a lot of parents outside there, the one thing that they struggle with is getting an educator, a caregiver, a person who understands their child and is going to give them that holistic growth the way you described it. Parents struggle. What did you tell them?
It's a very big struggle. By the time you find somebody you can settle down, it takes too long. One, because this child may not receive this change easily.
Yeah.
So by the time this teacher comes and convince this boy that we can stay together, that teacher has also to be really having a heart. Like the boy I'm working with, the first day I went to their home, he looked at me and walked away. And when I had the lesson with him, we went out for break. So when we were coming in, he refused to go to class. He had let me out and came to the house and started watching. So the father was there and he knew I can't get him. The father was like, now it is done. He can't get out of this level. Why? He cannot. I was like, Sean, stand up, let's go to class. He refused. I was like, Sean, can you stand and look at my eyes? He was like, okay, so the student walked slowly to the uniform for the rest of the father was, yes, I think you're the right person. Because no one can get him on that seat. That seat when he's seated, he cannot stand. He refuses and that is it. He wants to what?
Yeah.
But it takes a lot of being firm. So by the time that a parent finds that teacher, it's so costly. Because the teacher is just after money. It's a teacher because people have associated special needs with money. So someone just comes and like, it's really cash. So finding someone.
Why do they associate it with money?
Because you will not find anybody anyway. So it's like
there's scarcity.
Taking advantages.
Yeah.
If I don't go, you will take long to find somebody like me or getting a professional. So they take advantage.
And I think that's an area the government then can step in.
Yes.
And make accessibility easier for the public.
Accessibility, you can access somebody easily, you can find somebody, but not getting somebody with the passion and the quality that you want comes with an extra cost. The government cannot even control that because I went to college on my own. I have this passion.
I think about the government can probably is what you said about the infrastructure.
And then now, like speech therapists in Kenya, up to last year, we only had 18.
18?
Unconditional. In Kenya, for you to be a speech therapist, you have to get a master's level. There's no diploma in speech therapy. There's no degree in speech therapy. You have to get a master's school to be a speech therapist. And that's why they can charge you anything. So the government had to come in and really scrutinize them, be sure they counted 1 to the 18. There's a thing that happened last year. There are some who graduated a few, so maybe they have increased maybe to 27, but not really 30. So that's how the government is coming to regulate them. They should be registered, they should be known and all that. Because there are people who are coming from the side to root from parents in the name of I was speech therapist. But now how do you get this 18? How do you reach this one of the 18? Even if I reach them, can I afford them? So if anybody can come and say they can do the speech, I would rather that one because I can at least afford. They can get maybe 3,000 per session, which is better than 5,000 per session. So that's where the problem is. We don't have the human resource we need to work this kind of student. But thank God, I understand for the first time, KMTC has admitted the first speech therapist. For the first time, that's a good step from the government. Has to reduce the number. But now with the experience, somebody can just go for that course because I've been called to go do that course. Even though I was on the field, you come on field like, so this is what I'm going to do. This student who have drawn me. when they're doing the eye.
It's a calling.
Yes.
You have to be called there. Yeah.
So getting the teacher is not very easy. But I really urge my fellow workers, let's just take up this duty. To me, this is my son. This is my daughter.
Wow, that is
Because if you don't put on that show that I am working this as if it's my own child, you can do anything because after all, I'm here to get that. But when you come to a place of, what if it was my own child? That's what keeps me running. This is my own son. This is my daughter. I have three. So anything I do with that child, it's like exactly what I do to my own child. So getting a teacher becomes a big challenge. It comes with a cost. How much are you going to pay? And getting the right teacher for that child. A teacher can just come and help that child the way they are. And just come down to the level of that child and try to learn that child. And try to help them who can help, or even support where it needs to be supported. Because a teacher can come and even you don't give that child. Because these children are so different. I may have worked with this one, it hasn't worked. And maybe this boy is autistic, and I meet another autistic child, and you realize it's just something very different. You try to apply this, is not working with this. So it's until you can learn this child and how do I handle this one, not using the previous strategies used in the other child, because they may not work. You may come here, this one is a different child. You apply the other strategy, they are not working at all. So handle this child individually. Okay, so this point, you try this and it's not working. What will you do this way? To help you achieve a given objective. Two, dealing with the parents. To me, I come to a place where you find yourself like you are a counselor. Because you have to work with this parent who is still receiving this child, accepting this child in their father. When you get your son, you're like, hey, we knew we were supposed to have doctors and lawyers and parents. And you realize this person is going to be a parent anymore. For this parent to come to a place of acceptance and say, okay, he may not be a parent, but he can become something else. And now what can I do to help this child? So working with this parent also, especially mothers. In Kenya, I had a class of 23 learners. 17 did not have fathers. Fathers had one.
And you know what is a realization that I was even telling my wife, that one thing I have realized with people who are handling these kids, is doing this as a dad alone or mama alone. But mostly, it is mama alone.
Me, I'm so grateful to you that you're here. I wish all the fathers would see this, because mothers have suffered. You find a mother that's not talking to you. She has a cerebral palsy.
Yeah, and I think at this point I will have a message to the dads outside there, and one of is to say boldly that mothers are not the carriers of disabilities. So it doesn't make sense to actually tell your wife or your partner or someone you have had a kid with that you are the problem and you probably know where this disability came from. It's also very, very stupid, let me just use that word, for a dad, father outside there to look at the wife or the mother to their child and say, you know where this kilema came from, where to go to say kilema. You know, those kind of statements is actually accelerating the stigma around the special needs, around the disabilities, and of course around the mental health issues. So the most important thing is that the child is a gift from God. Everybody should accept that as the bold step. And the second thing is, instead of starting to raise the stigma, blame games, it's good to the both parties to come together and start working around the solution to support the child. And like Joyce has said, when everybody is working, the educator, the parents, the society, the government, we create a holistic system for the special needs kids, and that is the best way we can support them, because, like we understand here at the Beautiful Brains, these are kids who, when supported right, they can live their life limitlessly and they can achieve their full potential.